Now, even the best of us have bad cake days without buttercream. Days when you spend hours and hours on end trying to fix that one cake because of your buttercream. Something that should take you 30 to 60 minutes on an average ends up taking you like 3-4 hours. Yes, it happens. In this video, we're going to be looking at what the faults could be with a buttercream and how to avoid them or how you can fix them. If this is something you'd be interested in, then you definitely want to keep on watching. The first buttercream issue or challenge that most people have sometimes, or bakers have, is grainy buttercream. So you make your buttercream and it ends up looking grainy. It ends up looking like you have just an unsmooth finish. Basically, it's not looking smooth and fine for you to work with. One thing that could be the cause of this is unsieved icing sugar or confectioner sugar. When you don't sieve it before using it, you're going to have that issue. It's going to come out looking rough and grainy. And then another thing that could be responsible is using a brand that is of less quality. Or it might be that that brand is not of less quality, but it's just that that batch of production or that batch of icing sugar had issues or something when they produced it. I've had that kind of challenge before where the entire package or the entire batch I bought had like the icing sugar, even without sieving it, you will see that it's grainy and it doesn't just feel smooth to the touch. Your buttercream should be of good quality, a good quality brand. It should be smooth to the touch, and to further achieve a very good result, you want to always, and when I mean always, you want to always sieve your icing sugar before you use it for your buttercream. The second challenge that bakers have is that their buttercream is runny. And when I mean runny, I mean it is just too light. It is just too light to hold. It is just too light to make reasonable sense when you use it for piping, when you use it for flowers, or even if you want to use it for frosting your cake. It's just too light, it's just too runny. What happens is at the end of the day, it's just going to come down, like it's going to fall, it's going to slide off the body of the cake, and you do not want that. So how do you fix this, or how do you avoid this? Ensure that you reduce the liquid content of your buttercream recipe. If it is something that you've been using and it's been happening over time, then you want to checkmate that, you want to check that, and you want to reduce it to the barest minimum so that it holds up. And while it is not too stiff, it is just perfect and it's just okay for you to frost and not have any issues with it. So if you're having runny buttercream, then you want to check. Of course, it will not be the flavor because you're not adding so much flavor. You're not adding flavor in a large quantity. So if you're adding, say, maybe half cup of water, you want to try 2 tablespoons of water instead. You want to just reduce it and see what works for you and how you can get a consistency that works just fine for frosting, for piping flowers, for piping your butters, whatever it is you want to do. The third problems that bakers face with buttercream is that they have sweaty buttercream. Your buttercream sweats. Depending on your region, you want to do this. Avoid putting your American buttercream in the fridge or in the freezer. It's a no-no. For whatever reason, maybe there's a delay in pickup, or maybe there's a delay or an adjustment or a postponement of the celebration dates or the events or something, please do not store in the fridge. Of course, I've heard people say a few times you can store in the carton or store in your cake box and then wrap with a very thick waterproof bag or something and put it in your fridge. If you bring it out, it will not sweat. I haven't experienced that before. I haven't tried that before, so I cannot verify. But I would advise that you do not put it in the fridge. If you have issue of postponement or cancelled orders or something just happens that would require you keeping the cake for longer than you planned or keeping the cake for longer than you were supposed to, then you want to peel off the buttercream. If it's okay, discuss with your client. You want to peel off or take off the buttercream and wrap your cake in cling film and store in the freezer. You do not want to put your American buttercream in the fridge. Even if you put a Swiss American buttercream cake in the freezer for longer than you should. When you bring it out, condensation will set in and it begins to sweat. So to avoid your buttercream sweating, please do not store in the fridge. Thank you. Number 4 is Melty Buttercream. Now this is not sweaty, it's melt like your buttercream runs. I saw a post a few days back on Facebook where someone put up a post about a cake. There was a cake picture, and it appeared that what could have happened was that buttercream, because it was looking way off, it was looking not good, and from what I could see and from what other bakers said in the comment section, that buttercream was obviously not stored right. It was stored in a place that was hot and the buttercream melted. So in your bakery, you want to ensure that the temperature is right. You're storing in a cool place, that there is no form of heat where you are. I've experienced this as well. I think it was sometime last year, if I'm not mistaken, or earlier this year, I think it was sometime last year, we had a lot of baking to do at the bakery, and so we had baked sets, and then we were decorating some, and then we had some other cakes in the oven. It was a really, really busy day, and it was a really, really hot day. It was a really hot day, so this buttercream decoration that I had made began to sweat because my space isn't so big, and the temperature of the place was hot. It wasn't conducive at all for the buttercream. I think I even stored it in the cake box, put it close to my AC, but it did not help the situation. And that is what the temperature would do to your cake. If it is too hot, it will begin to melt. So you want to ensure that it is stored in a cool place. And if you're also sending over to your clients, give them instructions. If it's not something they're using for same day or they're using immediately, you want to advise them on the proper way to store the buttercream. The 5th thing I'll be talking about is a rough buttercream. So I've come across comments like, oh, my buttercream is too rough, it's not smooth, I tried combing, I spend hours trying to comb, I spend hours trying to scrape, I spend hours trying to do this, and it's just not working. One thing that is most likely the cause of this challenge is that your buttercream is stiff. It is really, really stiff. Now you want to ensure that your consistency, your buttercream recipe is right, and that the consistency you want to work with is right as well. This is just like the flip side of having a runny buttercream. So if your buttercream is runny, it's an issue, and that has to do with the consistency. And if your buttercream is rough and you're not able to get a good result or finish, it also has to do with the consistency. If your buttercream is stiff for you to work with, then I tell you, no matter how you comb, no matter how you scrape, no matter what you do, you're still going to have it looking rough. So ensure that the consistency is right, and this just boils down to your recipe. Sometimes the recipe might not be bad in its entirety, but you might need to just tweak this here, tweak this there, reduce this, increase this, touch that, adjust this, adjust that, and you'll be good to go with your buttercream. Another challenge is air bubbles in your buttercream. So when you frost the buttercream, you see that it has some small air pockets just all over it, and it doesn't give a good finish and look to your buttercream cakes. What's the cause of this? Overbeating or over mixing your buttercream. If you're beating, incorporating too much air in the preparation, then you're gonna have lots of air bubbles. So the first thing you want to do is to ensure that you beat for a minimal amount of time, depending on the recipe you're working with. You don't want to beat on high speed, of course, even if you beat on high speed, you have icing sugar, you have your confectioner sugar all over the place. So when you're preparing your buttercream, you want to prepare on low or medium speed. And now do not overbeat your butter, do not overbeat it. When you're done adding your icing sugar to it, do not beat for so long on high speed and you just keep beating and beating. It's going to have too much of air in it, which could result in you having air bubbles in your buttercream. And if this is something you are experiencing, another way to troubleshoot or another way to tackle this is that you beat towards you. So beat your buttercream towards you. Do not just keep going round and round. You want to try to get rid of those air bubbles and beat like so. Beat from back to front, beat towards you. And if you do this, you'll be able to get rid of the air bubbles and have a smooth buttercream. A bonus tip is that when it comes to combing cakes, you don't just comb once or comb twice and think that ta-da, it's just going to be smooth, or you're just going to get those fine lines looking crisp and sharp and peng and everything. For combing buttercream cakes, you need to go round over and over and over again. Now, I may not be able to put a particular number of time that you need to go around when you're combing your buttercream cakes. When you're combing your buttercream cakes, but you keep going round, it will smoothing out and you will get the fine finish. So just keep going around. Don't think, oh, I'll comb 3 times, 4 times, and everything will be fine. No, you have to keep going until you see that it is fine. In some cases, you have some spots where your cake is peeking through. You have spots where you don't have enough buttercream, and so if you comb, you're not going to get the same pattern as you have on other parts of the cake at that same spot because there is an issue. Simple, just apply some more buttercream with your piping bag or with your spatula, and then go all over again combing. You're going to see, you might see them at different spots. Just fill all those spots where you have all those patches or all the cakes peeking through, and then go right ahead and comb again until you get the perfect and fine results. Another bonus tip that people have with the buttercream is that the colors run, and this has to do with temperature, but majorly with the kind of food color that you use in tinting your buttercream. You want to use a gel food color, or if you're using a powdered food color like we have here in the country, you want to add a little, and I mean just a little bit of water to thin that. There are some that if you add directly to your buttercream when you want to tint, it's going to give you spots at the end of the day. It's going to have spots and specks in your buttercream at the end of the day, and you do not want this. So you want to ensure that you tint it with you want to ensure that you dilute it with just a little bit of water before you tint your buttercream with it, or you go for gel food color or paste food color so that it will not run, even if it's stored in a place where there's a sharp change in temperature or anything happens for that reason. Maybe you get stuck in traffic or something, the colors will not begin to separate and the colors will not begin to run. One more thing I would like to say is that there are some designs that you need to have your buttercream crumb coated nicely first before you apply. Something like rosettes. I know one major issue that people have with rosettes is that it just slides off the body of the cake. Please ensure that you put a good amount of crumb coating first before you begin to pipe your rosettes on it so that it can stay. And then most importantly for rosettes, your buttercream decoration just has to be right. If it's not right, then it's just going to fall off the body of the cake. That's one thing with rosettes design. I believe that this video has been of great help to you. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up, as well as other videos as well. I have an entire playlist for you to watch when it comes to cake decorating, when it comes to cake business. Please feel free to watch and share with your cake friends as well. Until we see in the next video, bye.